Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got playa props on a Wednesday here in the NBA. About 9 games to choose from here as we've got most of these teams coming that were off of back-to-back. We've got a lot of rest for some of these teams. So we'll be looking at some of the playa props in here. We've got best bets in another video for you. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along each and every weekday this season with us. Also head to thelines.com. Use that prop finder tool. Make sure you're getting the best odds and juice available to you from all of these books, giving us bets this NBA season. A little 2-2 last night on Tuesday, Nate. We knew it was going to be a wonky Tuesday night like we talked about with 5 games, but a little bit more stability tonight. So let's get into your first NBA playa prop.
Yeah, I'm going Gordon. No, I'm just kidding. I told you guys only twice with Gordon Hayward. Not going to go back to that well. I am taking Scotty Barnes at 30.5 points and rebounds with the Raptors hosting the Hawks, a defenseless Hawks team. And man, has Scotty eaten against this team. He's actually topped his PRA prop tonight, 36.5, with just points and rebounds in the last 2 meetings. You take the last 3, he's averaging 25, 10, 6.5 assists. And Atlanta has been woeful against the power forward position, particularly. Interestingly, Barnes is listed as a shooting guard at Basketball Reference, but I mean, I think he's the body of a power forward. He's going to eat on the glass as a power forward. I guess they're going to have to throw Sadiq Bey at him if D Hunter can't go. With Jalen Johnson out, Atlanta has a 125 defensive rating their last 6. Sadiq Bey has an individual 127 defensive rating in that span, and they're giving up 28 and 15 to power forwards. So just absolutely crushing. They're up to a league high 13 rebounds to power forwards on the season. They also allow the 5th most offensive rebounds per game on the road, 13.3 in their last 3. That's where Scotty's actually doing more of his damage in terms of rebounding is because he's often in a mismatch. He's coming off the wing, grabbing those offensive rebounds, just so much bigger than a lot of 2s and 3s if those are the guys trying to box him out. He's averaging 4 OREBs per 100 possessions this season. That is a career high. I mean, Atlanta, if you want like a recent matchup of a guy, of a power forward who can do it all or play a little bit of point guard, freaking Jeremy Sohan went for 33, 8, and 6 against this squad. Like 33, 8, and 6. Holy Christ. And I mean, Scotty Barnes is twice the player of Jeremy Sohan. I will go as far as to say that with the Raptors at home, I like him to put up numbers across the board, points and rebounds being the safest.
Hell yeah. Scotty Barnes as a shooting guard. That's hilarious. I could not think of a dude on their team I would rather watch shoot a 3 less than Scotty Barnes. Like in this starting lineup, maybe over Pirtle. But like, I don't know. That's a wild. What are you supposed to do when you have a starting lineup of 4 dudes that are like rangy and 6'5" to 6'9"? They're all forwards. So like, what are you supposed to do? I'm really realizing how much Dennis Schroeder fits in so well alongside Scotty Barnes after playing with a guy like LeBron James, who is probably a better shooter than Scotty, but has a similar play style of get it and go, bully ball, mismatches, etc. And yeah, it's working out really well there for those two. This team is not working really well. I thought about a Sadiq Bey potential prop bet over as well, considering he's probably going to get minutes. If DeAndre Hunter's not in there, then I see him being the beneficiary of a lot of shots. It's with this Toronto team, and this is just sort of a little bonus bet because we're talking about the game, but like with this Toronto team, they force the ball out of the best players' hands every game. That's really what they're trying to do. See the Knicks recently where RJ Barrett went off because they forced the ball out of Brunson's and Randall's hands. So like I think either way, like Sadiq might be a good bet to get the ball out of Trey's hands and into the corner 3 where the Raptors are pretty susceptible. So just a little bit of insight because I did the work to look at Sadiq Bey. So I wanted to give you a little bit of what I found. But let me go to my first actual pick here. Jabari Smith Jr., under 9.5 boards, and we're still getting plus money for it on PointsBet, but it's even money everywhere else. And so I am chasing the juice a little bit here with this bet because I do have it right around like 9-ish boards for this dude. But when I saw the plus money in a matchup where I do think that there should be a little bit more fluidity to Memphis's offense than we saw the last time, they've at least established like a rotation, which they didn't even have about a month ago when these two teams met. So I'm going under 9.5 boards for him. He just had 3 monster rebound games with us where his lines were a bit lower on the rebounds, 7.5 and 8.5 in the last, that it's jumped up to 9.5 now because he just had 10 boards against Denver, which I cannot explain to you because I also can't explain to you how Denver lost that game at home to Houston. So I'm not going to try to. I'm just going to say the other two made sense. He played OKC, worst defensive rebounding team in the league. And make no mistake, Jabari Smith has 2.2 offensive rebounds per game. So he's a very important, the offensive rebounds are very important to him getting over 9 boards on the season in each of these games. He had 18 boards versus OKC because love you, Chet Holmgren, not boxing out very much. And their power forward at this point, when it's Jalen Williams, is pretty undersized. So 18 versus OKC, 12 versus the Spurs. And he had 20 rebound chances per game in all of those games because they're playing faster than they're going to play in this game against the Grizzlies. And they were playing in a much more transition-oriented offense as well, which the Grizzlies are not going to allow either. So in his last game versus Memphis, he did have 9 boards. Good for the under here. He had 12 rebound chances is really what I'm looking at. Like, how often is he actually down there with a viable chance to get those boards? And in these games against the Grizzlies, right, like he's 12 rebound chances at a 75% rebounding rate on those chances. It's not realistic to continue. And I don't think that many rebound chances will continue for Memphis opponents as they're still playing at a bottom 5 pace. Their true shooting has gone up because it was 24th in the league when they played last time, back up to 18th over their last 6 games or so. Still not very impressive. This Memphis is bad. I get it. It might be a little bit more of a scary bet, but I like a bit of a slower, under choppier game in this one, which might lead to rebounds at times. But like I said, the offensive boards are very, very important for him. And I do believe in Memphis' ability to at least box out on the offensive side of the glass, where they are limiting offensive rebound chances to the 5th fewest in the league. So that's what I'm looking at here. I don't like betting on Jaren Jackson Jr., although it's a good matchup for him. I no longer care if the matchup is good for Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm not betting on him unless I'm taking an under. And I don't think he's good for an under in this one, but I do think he's good for the matchup with Jabari Smith Jr., where these two dudes are on each other for the whole game.
Yeah, a little scary with how low the total is, so you expect a lot of missed shots. Memphis is pretty woeful shooting the ball, especially on the road. But I mean, maybe there's a way to cash this in the sense that Ime Udoka has a quick hook for a lot of these young guys, and if Jabari misses a rotation or fails to get one of these rebounding chances, he could wind up on the bench for Tari Eason or something, and only play like 27 minutes. We've seen a couple times, but I mean, if you want a different way to attack this in terms of just being a low scoring game, consider 26.5 under for Fred VanVleet points and assists. I mean, he's gone under that, I think, in 3 straight against Memphis. Despite the fact that they're a poor 3-point defense, they've limited him because he's not necessarily like a catch and shoot 3-point guy. He's got to get it off the dribble, and they have limited him. I mean, held him to 20 points and assists last time these teams met. Just a little bonus lean here. But my second pick is Mikal Bridges in his first revenge spot against Phoenix. And no, not the points, not the assists, just the stocks, just the defensive stats. Over 1.5, plus 115 at MGM, which is nice juice. And I mean, it's hard to like support this with too many numbers. I mean, steals and blocks, they come where they come. And for what it's worth, I mean, he's averaging 2.1 at home versus 0.8 on the road this season. I mean, I don't care about that in a small sample. Look at a bigger sample, he averaged 2 on the road last year versus 1.6 at home. But this is more about the fact that the Suns are going to play through Booker and Beal all night, especially if KD misses another game. I mean, Beal might not even be able to go on a back-to-back here with the back issues he's been having. So, I mean, it could be Booker and, I don't know, Jordan Goodwin initiating the offense. It's some good turnover opportunities. But even with Book and KD out there, like you look at the wing defenders, they get turnovers just because everything goes through those guys. Like LeBron, Taurean Prince combined 8 steals. Steph, CP3 last night combined 5 steals. Bane, Santi Aldama, 7 stocks. KCP had 3 steals. OG had 4 stocks on his own. Those are the best wing defenders in their recent matchups. Mikal, I mean, he's going to be fired up for this. There's the old practice battle narrative, right? He's guarded Book a lot when he was on that team, and he'll be excited to try to slow him down. You get a couple blocks, get a couple steals, whatever he can do to slow down the Suns' offense.
However you want to bet on him, I'm fine with it. I agree that Mikal's the type of guy that brings it in these situations. Feels like maybe some rebounds, some hustle stats, like you found it with the stocks and the plus money. I'm good with it. I had a similar thought about Mr. Durant. Obviously, we don't have props up for him yet, but the injury report on him yesterday was that he was missing the Dubs game, which you called out. man, he sure misses a lot of Warriors matchups, doesn't he? And then in the same breath that they were saying he's going to miss the Warriors matchup, he's available to play on Wednesday night. So it's like you're purposefully missing that. How could you be any more transparent that he's not playing
Yeah,
against the Warriors because it's the
both his
Warriors?
former
It's
teams
so
though,
freaking
so he's
weird.
not ducking them both.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right. So he left the big, corporate conglomerate in the Warriors that was established to go play the startup with his boys in Brooklyn, and now he's excited to play his boys in Brooklyn. So weird with Kevin Durant. I can't understand him, but one of the best ever. Either way, my final pick of the night, another under, baby, and another rebounding under. What am I doing? Beef stew. It's too many rebounds. You don't get boards against this Philadelphia 76ers team when you're a good rebounding center. And Beef Stew is not even a center, right? He's like 6'8", 6'9". He's the center in this game, unless you want to call James Wiseman the center. And both of them have an allergy to the paint. I'll say that. So, like, I'm not really sure which one of them you feel more comfortable with in terms of getting rebounds against Joel, but I'll take neither of them to get their rebounds against Joel. So, you mentioned that Detroit and Philly are playing, and like I never know what to do with Philly. Sometimes they randomly let teams stay in the game like this. Most of the time they win by 20 or 30. So I think that's still live in this one. I don't think Philly's going to be missing very many shots, which is a good reason to take an under on a rebound prop for a Pistons. So under 7.5, it's probably available at 6.5 on some books. Yeah, because it's juiced pretty far down on the under there. So it is teetering on going to 6.5 for him on some of these books, but I would still take the under 7.5 and leave it there. It's like I said, just too difficult to rebound versus Philly and Embiid, who's basically the third or fourth best rebounding team on both sides of the ball, according to rebound percentage, according to the amount of rebounds that they limit their opponents to. They are third best and always will be, as long as Joel is there, at limiting the opposing center's rebounds. This is not the dude to get boards over Joel. And even if he's not the matchup for Joel directly, like he's going to have to be sometimes. And he's still just not, it's not like there's anybody down there to box out Joel to give Beef Stew the opportunity to get rebounds on either side of the floor, which is why I'm continuing to fade him. So the last time that they played, he had 10 rebound chances against this team. That was with Jalen Duren in. And Jalen Duren had fewer rebound chances than he did. So that was with Duren actually guarding Embiid way more than Beef Stew ever had to. And actually Marvin Bagley even played in that game. Also out tonight is Marvin Bagley. So you would think that, like, okay, that means opportunities for Beef Stew. It just doesn't. None of these dudes have had opportunities. None of these dudes have gotten their rebounds. And Beef Stew playing entirely against the first unit of Philly as opposed to getting some second unit run against B-Ball Paul Reed. It's not good for him. Like, if he's going to have to be out there on the same time as Joel more often than not, it's just not good for him. So the interesting thing is Osar, Pogo Sticks, 22 rebound chances in the games that he's played against Philly, the small forward for this team, because everybody else is getting boxed out by one giant former MVP of the league. And that does leave the springy Pogo Sticks to go in there and try to get boards. I'm still scared of him because his minutes wane, and I don't know what to do with Monty Williams' rotation. I know Beef Stew has to play. So that's why I can at least bank on him being out there. And I don't think he will very often, to be honest. As soon as this game gets a little bit more out of control, there's not much reason to have him in there. And unless you try to play him with the scrubs, I guess, to beef up his stats, pun intended. I got no way that I see Isaiah Stewart really getting his in this one.
Man, you love these rebound chances tabs on your on your screen. It's all about the
Right.
unders here. This one makes a little more sense, I think, because I would go over in this game at 233. I don't think the Sixers play defense when they know that they're outclassing the opposition. They're probably going to score 130. The Pistons are going to be absolutely desperate to try to break this streak, even though they're not going to do it. It's highly unlikely. So, I mean, the best angle that he doesn't get these rebounds is because the Sixers are just making every shot they take, and he's just not going to have the chances. Yeah, I agree with what you said on it. Asar, I think he has a better opportunity to get over 8.5, which is his boards, but we just don't know if he's going to play. Monty Williams has iced him for some reason with Bojan back in there, even though he clearly has earned the right to run with this Pistons team. So I would just play this game to say over rather than going on the variance of rebounds. Again, I'm throwing shade at your your rebound under, but I appreciate the in-depth research.
Yeah, no, I mean, the rebound chances are big too, because like, where is he on the floor? And Beef Stew is, as often as he can, is like their 3-point shooter at times, especially with Ivy off the floor. So like, if you want to take the under points and rebounds, it's just so low. The points are at like 9.5, and like he could stumble his way into 4 or 5 buckets. I could see, but yeah, I'm tacking the rebounds on this one, and same for Jabari, and let's see how it works. We'll get back to you on that tomorrow. as that is all the time we have for you in our play of props today. Continue to follow along. We have a best bets video up with 4 more, roughly 5. I think we give another little bonus bet in there as well. So roughly 5 bets in there for you to check out each and every weekday this season. So until we see you next, happy betting.